Hello and welcome to Diamonds and Duds. I am Ivan.
And I am Charles.
And today we have episode 31, Kraven the Hunter.
Kraven the Hunter. 2024. Kraven the Hunter is a visceral, action-packed origin story of one of Marvel's most iconic villains came to be.
Yeah.
So as we get prepared, I'll share a little bit about where Kraven comes from in just a minute. Did you happen to write down like the direct? I know sometimes you look at it. Do we know who directed it and stuff?
Yeah, the director of this was J.C. Charlson. He had directed a movie. I kind of want to watch. Probably wouldn't fit for us in here, called Triple Frontier with Ben Affleck and Charlie Hunnam.
I've heard of it. Yeah, Netflix maybe.
Yeah, and it sounds like it did good. Got him this. Stars Aaron Taylor Johnson from Kick-Ass and Godzilla. Okay. He's one of those guys I think that everybody just sort of assumes is kind of a good actor, but he doesn't really do good movies.
Yeah, and so J.C. Charlson, you said it right?
Yes.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself, J.C. Charlson. That might be a spoiler on how I feel about this particular movie, but yeah, J.C. Charlson, go fuck yourself. Right up your fucking ass. Anyway, Kraven, the little background on the comic character Kraven.
Oh, let's back up a second. Yeah. So you fucked the right person. It's J.C. Chandor.
Okay, J.C. Chandor, go fuck yourself. You're not even important enough for me to say your right goddamn name.
And one of the things I always do is I look up the critic stuff. Yeah. I wasn't surprised because I hadn't heard very good things about this movie. It got a 15% by the critics. After watching it, I'm kind of surprised at what the audience gave it. The audience gave it a 72. But it might
people are idiots.
But it might just be that it only gets people going to it that like kind of thing. It might have tainted my watching of this, and going forward, this might be something that I look up the Rotten Tomatoes stuff afterwards.
Probably,
it's probably not a bad idea. But like one of the ones I looked up was Manuel Betancourt, where he said this movie broke my brain.
Yeah,
and I think that is a perfect explanation for this.
Yeah,
one of the others, and I forget, I didn't write everything down from it. But one of the other things I wrote down from it is that I didn't write down the person. Is that it says somewhere in here there's a good B movie. And
maybe
I would agree because the parts of this I found entertaining, and I'll say I'm a Marvel movie fan as opposed to my brother who knows a lot of the lore and stuff behind the comics and stuff. I don't know a lot of that stuff, so a lot of that stuff didn't annoy. We'll get into why some of that stuff annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And because I was texting a friend of mine, JC, as I was going through this.
Different JC, not the director.
The different JC, not the director. Because during this, on multiple occasions, Charles, and I'm not even exaggerating for effect, on multiple occasions, your brother had to look up online to make sure he wasn't accidentally watching a sequel. Because I was having trouble following this at the beginning, so I'm like, okay, he has powers. How did he get his powers? Wait, they haven't explained anything yet. Oh, wait, is this actually I'm like, is this actually the sequel? And they did a sequel to this that I didn't know, and this is actually... And I'm not even... I had to pause the movie at the beginning a couple different times to make sure I was watching the right one.
Yeah, so a little background about Kraven the Hunter, the comics. So I'm a big comics guy. I was a big comics guy growing up, specifically Spider-Man. I had a subscription for a couple years. A few years back, I actually had a year's subscription to like the Marvel Ultimate, basically the app where you can read any comic. And so at that point, during that year, I read maybe the first 75 Spider-Mans. But Kraven the Hunter, and it's really going to be important for this as you watch the movie. In the comic, Kraven the Hunter is a pure villain. He's, as I say, he's a hunter. He hunts animals. He doesn't give a flying fuck about humans, about about good humans, bad humans, he doesn't give a fuck about money. he gives a fuck about hunting prey, hunting animals. And the reason why he hunts Spider-Man is because the animal in the name, the animal connection, a lot of, Spider-Man's power come up, and he considers Spider-Man to be the ultimate prey, the ultimate get. So like Kraven's gonna hunt animals. He's gonna hunt animal themed heroes and villains. Rhino, which things like that. But Kraven would never in the comics give two shits about whether or not someone's a fucking gun runner, or anything else, because Kraven hunts animals. I noticed I did not say he was an environmentalist, because he's not. And so Kraven, and so that's kind of where Kraven comes from. During the course of his career, it's revealed that he has a half brother, who factors heavily in this movie. Chameleon, who's actually Spider-Man's first villain.
Okay.
He was the villain of Spider-Man #1. He was a villain as Chameleon was, but he wasn't really brought back until they decided, hey, Kraven's going to be.
And it feels like what they were trying to do, and this was. And stop me if I'm wrong. This was going to be part of Sony. If it had worked, it was going to be part of some Sony-like universe they were maybe trying to do. Yeah,
and see, one of the things that kind of ticks some people off is that so by the time they finished filming, Sony had closed the doors on the Spider, because it's done now. Okay, but by the time the filming was over, filming was over. They're like, all right, we'll release these, but we're done with this. We're not doing. It's just been a failure. But some people were really pissed because the trailers really were leading into that this was going to be building to something more and so like that. And those were all devised after it was decided, we're shutting the doors after Madame Web or whatever.
You would think that would give the director and editors and all that stuff more freedom to edit and stuff the way they want and not throw meaningless, stupid shit into it.
Yeah.
Because there's a few different things they throw in here, like they throw in, obviously, my brother mentioned that, his half-brother ends up being Chameleon, which it doesn't really fit for someone who doesn't know anything, Charles, about this stuff. It just sort of gets thrown in at the end, which we'll talk about as we go through it. In the process of me trying to look up to see if this was the goddamn sequel or not, apparently the guy he goes to is the same guy Rhino goes to, which is also a Spider-Man villain.
Jackal. Yep.
Yeah.
A more prominent one.
Because I was curious how all that stuff was gonna fit in. And truthfully, as someone bluntly who doesn't know a lot about the Spider-Man stuff, if they were gonna change, because I think, and this is someone who doesn't know a lot about the backstory of some of the what they were gonna do with the Spider-Man universe stuff. Part of me guesses that Spider-Man doesn't have a lot of heroes that Sony had the license to be part of their universe. And my guess is that they felt, probably incorrectly, but they felt if they were going to change a person's complete backstory, that people might not be as mad about changing Kraven's complete backstory to be an environmentalist as opposed to changing somebody else. But at the end of the day, by the time they edited this and sent it out and everything, that was all gone.
Yeah, and part of it, what they needed to also realize is that in doing that to Kraven, you were going to lose 100% of Spider-Man fans that are from Spider-Man comic fans. Every single one. Because of the fact that, because we have been waiting for Kraven to be featured in a movie, because Kraven, without a doubt, this is one of those things, there's not really any debate. A Kraven story is considered, there's a specific Kraven story that I'll talk about a little bit, is the greatest Spider-Man story ever told, and it's very translatable to a Spider-Man.
And I completely take back then what I would, because they should have found somebody else, and this is assuming this is why they were doing this, but if they needed to simply have other heroes to add to a quote unquote Spider-Man group that they were going to try and do. It shouldn't have been fucking Kraven then. It should have been some other random one you could easily.
And there's a lot. There's a lot they could do. I mean, I haven't seen the Venom movies, but Venom makes more sense because Venom very much is an anti-hero in the comics. There's a lot of times that he does heroic things, even though he kills, because of the fact that really his big thing is he wants to kill Spider-Man. But other than that, he wants to protect people. It's just Venom's warped mind is that he thinks Spider-Man is evil and kills people, basically. And so Venom, but like I know they really fucked it up, but like Morbius, I never watched the movie, but if they had done Morbius right, Morbius.
Yeah, that's ironically, as I was watching this, my friend JC was watching Morbius.
Oh God, poor bastard!
And he's like, "Yeah, I fell asleep. I woke up. Morbius fucking sucked, and I'm not watching the rest of it." He's like, "I don't do a podcast. I don't have to watch the rest of it." He's like, "You have to." He's like, "You had to watch the rest of Kraven."
Yeah. So we start off. We're in a Russian prison. Basically, it appears that Kraven's a prisoner, and immediately he starts pissing everybody off in the prison. But as soon as he has someone that he's going after to
they make it clear pretty quickly that he's going after someone like. I had assumed, and again, this is somebody who I don't know any. I had assumed like the reason he was doing this was because somebody paid him to go after, it was like a bounty kind of thing. Is what Ivan was assuming. But basically, he goes and I understand the purpose of this scene. Now they should have explained maybe before this that he has powers. I'm assuming he has powers. I still don't know for sure. I'm like 80% sure that Kraven has powers.
He does in the movie. They're kind of ridiculous. They're very ridiculous.
They're very ridiculous. They don't really explain them whatsoever or how he got them. He doesn't know how he got the powers. He's asked multiple people.
Yeah,
it's fucking weird. Yeah. But like, if you look at it purely from just a normal Let's look at this for a second from a normal setup movie.
Yeah.
I understand the purpose of the prison scene is to make sure you know that Kraven is a fucking badass.
Yes.
And as far as that goes, it accomplishes it. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
In the comics, what happens was And we'll get to how what happens to get it in the movie. But in the comics, he seeks out his powers. Basically, what it is he goes to this person Calypso, who is in the movie, and in order to help him become the best hunter, basically available, he has him she concocts from this potion, this thing that enhances his strength, enhances his kind of agility. Couple things like that. It doesn't fucking allow him to have Zen moments with fucking animals happen or direct what animals do. And then
that was weird.
Then his already his hunting skills, his tracking, his basically his intelligence as far as strategy. That was already there just because he in the he's a fantastic hunter, so he has a lot of intelligence edges on.
And there was a way they could have done this because basically, guys, what the purpose of this is that he goes to kill this person that you find out has something to do.
Gun runner.
He's a gun runner, and it's kind of to show you that he goes after gun runners and that kind of stuff. He gets out of the prison pretty easily. It's also to show you that he's kind of like Spider-Man and can climb up walls, apparently. But there was a way they could have done. Now that I know more about this background, Charles, there's a way they could have. They should have done something where it kind of shows that, hey, he's a really good hunter, okay?
Yeah.
And then you simply have something that enhances some of this.
Yeah.
Enhances some of this stuff shows that now he can do stuff better.
Yeah.
Is all you really had to do.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to just, because it's a comic book movie, do some of the fun, weird, comic booky stuff. Now, should he Spider-Man his way up a giant building? Probably not.
Nope.
But basically what it does is that he kills this person who's basically unlike pretty not uncommon for movies like this. The gun runners, when he's in prison, he kind of runs the prison, gets to do what he wants. There was nothing too crazy about that. He goes in, kills the guy, gets out, and it shows he can get out pretty easily. And he has a plane waiting for him.
Yeah.
And some like female head. This is the other part that I wrote down. Also, is that there was a female talking about how, hey, yep, got you the plane, and he jokes around about like, hey, are you next time I'll have you fly it. Obviously, it's not Calypso because he hasn't met her yet.
No.
Do we ever find out who this is?
No, we never see any of them again.
Okay.
After he killed his encounter with the gun running guy, first of all, I wrote down not for the last time. Kraven is not supposed to care about gun running. He is supposed to hunt animals. He does not have any animals in this movie. He's anti-hunting in this movie, very anti-hunting. And then I wrote, he doesn't give two shits about people who kill other people. He doesn't give a flying fuck. He's not supposed to give a flying fuck about that. And this says that he's a hunter of evil. I'm like, for fuck's sake.
They kind of really stretch some of that.
Yeah.
Like, again, personally, I didn't have a problem with them changing some of that stuff as long as it makes logical sense for the movie, but the shit they didn't make any logical sense for the movie either.
Yeah, and as well as in a void, this scene I don't necessarily have an issue with. I have an issue with the order of the scenes here.
Okay.
A massive order, massive issue. Okay. We then go to flashback 16 years later for 25% of the movie, almost.
Oh yeah.
So where we see, and we'll get to see that. That should have opened the movie.
Yeah.
And because then we see, it would have been more clear. Because technically that's when he gets his power. And then it should have transitioned after the teenage stuff. Then it should have transitioned to him at the prison scene.
And bluntly, I found the flashback stuff the most interesting part of the movie. And for me, because I found Russell Crowe to be because he ate up scenery in this movie, but I think they asked him to. Because I thought Russell Crowe he carried the parts that he was in, but that's not saying a whole lot for this. But like, I found that the beginning, because part of the beginning part of this movie was basically, guys, where it kind of shows that he has a half-brother. It shows that his dad doesn't give a shit about the half-brother. That the dad kind of fucked over Kraven's mother.
Yeah.
And then basically he forces Kraven to hunt.
Yeah. Kind of now, my version of Russell Crowe in this movie, now, I don't blame him because he probably gonna say, like, good God, this is fucking shit. I really got a Gus Van Sant and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, or Jay and Silent Bob, Strike Back kind of vibe. No, okay, Gus Van Sant, famous director of Good Will Hunting. If you've never seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, there's a funny moment where they're on the set, basically Good Will Hunting 2 hunting season, and Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, they're like, they have a question about the scene. And it goes to Gus Van Sant, who's literally just, he's like, can't you see I'm fucking busy? And he's just counting money. Like, make it clear that, like, Gus Van Sant, like, he doesn't give a shit about this.
No, yeah. And so, I think we're both right.
Yeah. I mean, so, like, I don't blame Russell Crowe at all, because, like, he's, a guy's got to eat. A guy's got to...
Also, and I don't know how much, but my guess is he got paid a significant chunk for this. He gets to tell people going forward that he's technically part of the, Marvel universe.
Yeah, I guess... So, like, I think that...
He doesn't have to get in shape.
Yeah, I think that they kind of... I think that they could have written the character better. I think they just left. There's a lot that with his character that I don't necessarily understand fully what they're going for, and we'll get to that. But the beginning part, I was fine. Like, I was fine with him in this part. He had a clear direction. Yeah, he's like you said, he's an asshole.
It seems like there's a lot of parts of his character where I didn't understand 100% what they were doing. But and obviously I'm half kidding here, but almost felt like hey, maybe we need to rewrite this, and Russell Crowe's like, we filmed it.
Yeah. Another slight issue I do have, just in casting, was with these two teenage guys, the two teenage versions. I really think they needed to have one of the two of them not look so much like each other.
I also had and maybe these are famous actors. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention. I'm horrible with stuff like that. But it's like I agree. The two actors looked incredibly way too much. They looked exactly the same.
Yeah, so
which brothers would look like, but brothers in a movie shouldn't.
Yeah, there should be
people like us that can't tell the difference.
At very least, there should have been a major height discrepancy. As there ended up being once they were adults.
One have black long hair, one have short blonde hair.
There you go. Yeah. And so basically, in the hunting thing, Kraven, Sergei gets shot, gonna die, but that's where we get young Calypso, who uses grandmother's vial of weird shit.
He has. The part that I thought they were gonna bring up again because Kraven and he was going because his brother Dimitri came across a lion, right? I think that's what. And I think I was reading, because this was before I realized how shit the story was. Yeah. Okay? And so I was kind of like, okay, Dimitri goes in, sees this line, his brother goes to kind of save, but his brother before, and this is what I was hoping they were doing, but they didn't. What I thought they were doing, because they should, it almost looked like Kraven, who's Sergei.
Yeah, Sergei.
But I'll just call him Kraven. But basically, Kraven is calming the lion. Basically, Kraven's calming the lion so the lion won't jump his brother.
Yeah.
Which is a completely logical thing to do. And if you're a good storyteller, it's also a good way of telling you he has a way with animals before he gets this potion.
Yeah.
But then his dad comes in, starts shooting up the place, and then the thing attacks him.
Yes.
Basically is what.
Yeah, and then, and again, I have no problem with the concept of, in the comics he seeks it out. But I don't have any problem with the concept of, in the movie, it's used to save his life, and that's how he gets it. But they needed to explain that. No, that's where he got his powers. Yeah, because they needed to explain that better.
Yeah, because basically Calypso is young at the time. She gets that potion from her grandmother, I think. Yeah. She's in the same, just happens to be in the same kind of area, and comes across a Kraven getting ready to die, and gives it to him.
Yeah, and so. Yeah, and that's kind of then we see basically Kraven, Sergei be like, after this, he's like, you know what, I gotta get the fuck out of this place, and basically he leaves, he pieces out. I'm saying he's like sorry, Dimitri.
Works his way from London to Africa.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, they're all supposed to be Russian, which is comic accurate. It's kind of changed over time, as again, Kraven started early on in the Spider-Man's run, so he's from the 60s, so they have to move the time period, but his family always hailed originally from Russia. That's why they have the accents, but usually in the comics they had already been displaced as usually somewhere in Africa, but usually there's some kind of nobility, wealth, the family kind of had, and everybody has a shitty Russian accent in this movie. Nobody's Russian accent is good.
No, and I thought basically Russell Crowe's accent was like, hey, I've done a Russian accent before, I'll do this one. And the director's like, okay.
Yeah. Kind of and so, again, I thought the movie should have started with the prequel part and then transition to the thing.
And bluntly, if that prequel was done right, that was the kind of thing I could see being like, whoever the fuck owns this stuff nowadays. I could have easily seen that prequel, Charles, if it was done right, being like its own 8-episode prequel. So, if it's done right, you get two good young actors playing the two kids. Someone like Russell Crowe heading that. Yeah. You do that when it ends with him becoming, getting hurt. Yeah. But it's just they just sort of throw everything in there all together.
Yeah, and then the young kid actors, especially Dimitri, it sucks.
Oh yeah, he's horrible.
But a funny thing I thought was, so important thing to know is when he gets all fucked up by the lion, and Sergei's dead for 3 minutes, and so he wakes up in the hospital, and his dad, Russell Crowe's immediate like, you know what, fuck hospitals. I'm taking him out.
And the doctor's like, no, he's okay, but shouldn't we find out why he was dead for 3 minutes and why he came? Because this is also, I forget if the Avengers and stuff are in this world. I don't think that they are, but like obviously Spider-Man. Like there's been people. There's been probably Spider-Man, Venom, maybe at this point. There's been people like superhuman people, in the world.
Yeah.
Or they're at least on try. A father would want to know why his son was dead for 3 and why his son just came back.
Yeah, and like literally, like no, you shouldn't take him out. He literally was dead for 3 minutes and like just woke up. And he's like, nah, fuck hospitals. I'm taking him. And right before Sergei left, he gets a Dear John letter from someone we didn't meet ever, never heard anything about, never hear it, we never cycle back to it since, and it kind of weird, doesn't really land,
Wait,
right before he leaves the family, he remember Sergei reads the note.
Oh yeah.
And he reads the note this, and then so it's just kind of ridiculous. And then now we see it's back to Sergei as an adult. Don't expect us, like Ivan said, don't expect us to have any kind of reunion with the woman he was talking to after the prison thing, or the people flying the plane or whatever.
Yeah, and it's so horribly done. And one of the things they completely gloss over and ends up being a huge important part is that during that flashback scene we meet Rhino.
Yeah,
and we meet because Rhino is a gun runner or something, kind of he's a gun runner kind of guy the way Russell Crowe's character is. He wants to get in with Russell Crowe's character. And all we sort of see is him go, hey, I want to have some time with you. And that's all we fucking get. And it sounds like Russell Crowe's like, yeah, fuck you. Basically what he said.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Having someone like Rhino is... I know his powers were a little bit ridiculous and stupid, but it's good to have on your side.
Yeah.
And
and then so we didn't get much of that. So we see him back as an adult, and he's hunting again. He's hunting fucking poachers again. So Kraven kills poachers to protect animals. So the exact opposite of what he's supposed to be. Another point: why the fuck is Kraven the Hunter anti-hunting? It's bullshit. And then he's fighting. A lot of the 72% of the audience that liked it did like the action scenes. I thought most of the action scenes were stupid as shit.
Oh, they were dumb. The action scenes in this movie also I thought were overly bloody for what the movie was.
Yeah,
because the action scenes were, for me, they were fine, but they were incredibly bloody. Which if this was, because granted they didn't know this was going to be the what do you call it, universe was done until they were done filming.
Yeah.
So all these action scenes were done by the time they realized probably that there was not going to be a Spider-Man, thing. And so I don't understand. The action scenes were bad. And this, because basically he gets back, it sounds like then it sounds like one of the big things also is that guy that Sergei kills in the beginning in the prison was some big gun runner. And both Russell Crowe's character and Rhino both want his territory.
Yeah.
Because apparently he was running London and New York from a Russian prison.
Yeah, which again does not make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So then Rhino gets Rhino kind of goes after Russell Crowe's character because it sounds like they understand that only one of them can take it. He brings, in my opinion, and I apologize if this is actually some really cool sub character of Spider-Man or something Ivan's never heard of, but that Foreigner is the worst fucking superhero in comic history.
Yeah.
He's unstoppable. His power is that he can count to 5 and the entire world stops and he can shoot you.
Yeah.
How would he ever get caught? All he has to do. Oh, you're gonna arrest me, and all he has to do is count to 5 and leave, and then count to 5 again.
Oh,
and they overly use that power. And basically, guys, what he does is like, "Oh, you're gonna come after me? Okay, 1, 2," and he just grabs your gun, shoots you, and then counts to 5. And
So he is from the comics, minor. I don't even think he's been used. Probably hasn't been used in decades. But he's a minor villain. That's been the name of Foreigner. He doesn't. Even, let me put it this way. He doesn't even have a name. Like he doesn't. Like Kraven, Sergei Kraven, villains, this and that. Jackals, Miles Warren. He doesn't have it. It's just he's just known as Foreigner. The Foreigner.
I won't blame Marvel at all. Then I'll blame the writers because this then is the kind of character they can just go crazy with. Yeah. They can get creative and get fun with. Yeah. And their idea of fun was counting to 5.
Yeah, and because in the comic, he's considered to be like one of the world's greatest assassins. He doesn't have superpowers. What he's good at, and this is because just how horribly they explain this. He's good at hypnosis. That's all. That's all. He has a talent for hypnosis. And so like he's good at hypnotizing some people, and then but they just do a shit job. I also wrote earlier when Kravinoff was fighting the Gunrunners, crossbows aren't that powerful. At one point, Kraven fires a crossbow at a Gunrunner. The Gunrunner flies 10 feet through the air and gets pinned by the crossbow bolt into a wall. But yes, and not only that, but like we see at the end of the movie, Foreigner reveals that he has this, deep, personal, gotta die vendetta against Sergei Kravinoff.
No, we're just sort of assuming that he knows what he's. They never go into I have no problem with him having some sort of because that's how you write literature. It's like you have a reason you have. They never tell us why. Yeah. They never go into it.
What they do is at the very right before like the final kind of battles and stuff, he says like, yeah, Kraven's gonna like, Rhino's like, yeah, like why do you give so many fucks about, killing Sergei? And he's like, yeah, he killed my mentor. And like not something we ever fucking saw. No, we don't even know who his mentor fucking was. It wasn't the guy. It wasn't the crime guy. I Googled him. Yeah, it's not in the movie. It's just, he killed my mentor.
No, and we'll get into it at some point, I'm sure. But also that big fight scene, Rhino and the Foreigner takes Dimitri to try and get to Sergei Kraven, and basically, at some point, the Foreigner has Dimitri, and they're trying to track down Kraven in the woods or whatever, and they're basically like, hey, Kraven's dead or whatever, and they're like, oh, Foreigner must have got him, and they're like, okay, cool, and they just sort of assume it happened. Yeah. But like Foreigner's dead at this point because Calypso killed him. Yeah. Which I get. We're skipping ahead just because
we need to in this kind of movie.
I have no problem with Calypso killing him. I have zero, partly because Ivan hated that guy.
Oh yeah, Foreigner.
But I have a problem with Rhino not realizing that Foreigner wasn't in his car. Yeah. Because Rhino just goes, okay, Kraven must be dead, and he just sort of leaves.
Yeah. And just a few things throughout this whole midsection is like, that just get to me is this every performance here sucks. At one point, Sergei goes after some shenanigans, Sergei goes into an office building, and this is like, okay, he's not wearing shoes. He's barefoot. I'm like, really barefoot? And then the whole knife thing with the elevator. That's not how fucking knives work. That's not how elevators work. So like a guy's like Sergei's saying, hey, hold the elevator. And so the guy's like pressing close because like he's a guy and Sergei is a guy in like a nice basically shirt and tie that is fucking barefoot. So of course, and Sergei flings a knife. It hits the call button on the elevator, and that opens the elevator doors back up. And he takes it. I'm like, that's not how knives fucking work. That's not what it would do to that elevator. During the fight scene, like with the car and whatnot, with Foreigner and so Rhino, whatever it was, when Sergei was like kind of hanging on the car the outside, Kraven hits another car going like 45, and the cars are going like 45 miles an hour. He hits a solid steel, whatever, going 45, 50 miles an hour, that thing's stationary. Yeah, that thing would have fucking bisected him. Apparently, Kraven's power levels in this movie is on par with the fucking Hulk.
See, that's something that you caught.
Yeah.
Your brother did not catch that because at this point we were probably at least an hour or so.
We're about an hour and a half.
At least an hour and a half into the movie, and they had so little explained his powers that at this point, I just sort of assumed he had super strength.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he has super strength. He has super strength like the Hulk. He can run like the Flash. He doesn't like to sleep indoors like, I don't know, somebody. And it's
and so I get into the Russell Crowe. Again, I didn't like his accent, but what they did with Russell Crowe in the movie in the current timeline was very, very odd. Okay, because there's early on post prequel, there's Dimitri's playing at the club, Rhino's guys shoot it all, kill everybody but Russell and Dimitri. They should have done either one of two things. Either one, Russell Crowe gets killed in that attack, and then it's kind of conflicted Kraven's kind of the rest of it mostly plays out. Conflicted Kraven's trying to take down the guy who killed his dad. Conflicted feelings. The rest of the movie can play out the same. Dimitri getting kidnapped and all that stuff. That still plays as the way they intended, or maybe you fucking give Russell Crowe a little more screen time, and we see a little more about the
child abuse or
the gun running and his interactions with Rhino, that kind of stuff. We didn't get into.
Sony paid for fucking Russell Crowe. And at a certain point, as you were explaining, it also feels like Russell Crowe at times in this movie sort of looks at the audience and goes, "Guys, I'm doing my best."
Yeah. He basically pieces out of the movie until the movie's over. He has one scene after the nightclub shooting.
And I know we're not in Gladiator time, Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
But you have Russell Crowe in your movie, and he would have been willing to carry this if you needed him to. And I know he hasn't proved it in any way, but Aaron Taylor Johnson is an actor who theoretically, if you give him okay material, can do an okay movie. And this goes back to stuff I've said multiple times in the course of this podcast. Movies like this need to have somebody called basically a what the fuck you're doing, how does this make any sense guy. Not that you because me personally, for stuff like this, I don't need to have for something like his powers. I don't need to have some 45-minute to an hour long explanation. I just need to have something explained. Hey, this thing we gave you, it looks like you have some sort of doctor say, hey, it looks like you have super strength and you can hear better. If they at least had some sort of line, which I don't even know if that was his powers or not, but if they have some sort of line like that, or some sort of line for some of for the foreigner for the hypnosis thing, if they have something like that in the movie, I have no problem with it. Yeah. When they just sort of assume the audience is just going to sort of figure it out themselves and fuck them, is basically what happens.
Yeah, and so basically the kind of, fights, and there's a fight scene between shitty, weird-ass looking Rhino and
Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is this the best version of Rhino?
No, I don't think so. And I haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
But I would still say that Paul Giamatti is a better version of Rhino. Here's why. Because at least it's more.
You're right. It is a better version.
He's very. I haven't seen this Amazing Spider-Man 2. I know that character isn't in a whole lot. I think he kind of bookends it.
He kind of. It was meant. I think it was meant to be if there was a 3. And that kind of.
In that, it's basically he gets. It's a suit, not him. But it's also he in the comics, something happens, he can't really take it off. But the Paul Giamatti thing feels more like... No,
and you're... But also, this goes back also, though, the reason I don't have a problem too much with Rhino is because what did they do? They explained why his his skin was hard.
They did.
They at least explained, and it was they you didn't have to do, but like the reason I didn't have a problem with Calypso being good with her bow is because they're like, hey, I went to summer camp.
Yeah,
and was it a great explanation? No, but at least it explains to the audience. They didn't just suddenly have Calypso jump in with a bow and arrow killing people.
Yeah,
because that would have been weird.
Yeah,
but at least they explain some of the you can't go into a movie like this and have just weird shit upon weird shit and just not explain anything to the audience.
Yeah, and so at the end of the movie, once they finish off, Kraven, not Kraven, Rhino, and all's well that ends well. We get a scene where basically it reveals that Russell Crowe was kind of behind this whole thing, even though we never really saw him. I even think I supposed to get the impression that he actually orchestrated the nightclub. They basically wanted to bring Kraven out, aim Kraven at Rhino, and so basically Kraven's basically calls a lion and is like, yeah, fucking kill him. At that point, I'm like, all right, at least he's dead. And we get the reveal that
I have one of the things we skipped over an important part, Charles. Okay, important part. I think, and this might be a new category we have to start tracking.
Okay,
is for movies like this is maybe at the end of this year since we're kind of at our first movies of 2026, maybe we track the weirdest scenes of movies.
Okay,
and maybe we do a top 10 of this because I have a nominee. And maybe we each get nominees. Now that I'm thinking about this,
I can get behind it.
My nominee is the part when the leopard jumps.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
When the leopard, no, it's not just when the leopard jumps Kraven. It's when the leopard kicks Kraven.
Yeah,
because basically, it's at this point we're probably an hour and 45 minutes in. Yeah. A leopard jumps, who apparently is like a friend of Kraven's, which again I don't have a problem with. He knows animals or whatever.
I do.
In this, which I know my brother has a problem, but they're wrestling around, but the animal just sort of kicks him like a human wrestler, like CM Punk would kick somebody. He just and so that's what I thought was the weirdest part of this movie was when the leopard kicks Kraven, which I thought was weird. Yeah.
So and so we get basically the reveal at the end. Chameleon's going to take over the dad's gun running drug business, and that we see we see that because he got pumped in with some of the chemicals, kind of like Rhino, so he actually turns into a very stupid looking version. But Chameleon's white.
At least they explained it, but also they didn't it didn't feel earned. And granted, a lot of this was by the time we got to this point in the movie, I was done and it felt 5 hours long.
Yeah,
but it didn't feel earned for his brother to be, because at this point his brother Dimitri also makes it abundantly clear that he fucking hates Kraven.
Yeah,
and it's none of that is earned at this point. I think it's meant to kind of understandably set up future stuff if they were going to do, which I don't have a problem with. Just it didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
because probably what they should have had done was like you said, have what's his name, Russell Crowe die in the the
nightclub scene,
the scene, the piano scene, and then have Dimitri start taking stuff on at that point, and then at least some of that stuff. Or there's a part before Rhino dies, where Rhino goes to Dimitri and wants to partner with him.
Yeah,
maybe you have him say yes. And I don't. None of it ended up mattering because the Sony universe was shit. Yeah, and they kind of gave up on it.
So before we do our ratings, I want to go over what could have been. Okay? Because some people may know this, but so Tom Holland, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. Those of you seen it, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's really good. But that's multiversal. We know that you get Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, right?
Yep.
So that was they knew though in the planning stages that could all fall through. So their backup was totally switching gears and going Kraven, right? That was their backup, which No Way Home was great, right? And so initially, because we don't know what Spider-Man 4 is going to look like, but I know the MCU side of it really wanted Spider-Man 4 to ground it more, to really kind of bring it back, scale it back, more street level. And I know that they wanted Kraven for Spider-Man 4. Obviously, it didn't happen. They want, because again, Kraven's the biggest Spider-Man villain that we have not seen by far. He's bigger than, not all, but quite a few of the ones that we have seen. And so they wanted to do it. Sony ultimately went this way. Now, what I assume, if the MCU had done it, it probably would have been an adaptation of what many people consider the greatest Spider-Man story ever told. It's called Kraven's Last Hunt. Obviously, it would have changed it. Basically, Kraven's the ultimate hunter. He decides that he's going to beat Spider-Man by becoming Spider-Man. What he does is he finds Spider-Man, tracks him down. He does not kill him. Okay, he drugs him, and so puts him in a catatonic state and buries him, in that in that catatonic state, like 6 feet under. Okay, alive but catatonic. Kraven then dons the Spider-Man. He doesn't act as Peter Parker because Kraven's not interested in the secret identity. He didn't even look. But he dons a Spider-Man uniform, and with his ability, he decides he starts being Spider-Man for a short period of time to prove that he could do Spider-Man. And he does. Spider-Man eventually, at the end of the series, he breaks out and he goes to track down Kraven, does it? But what Spider-Man finds is that Kraven, because he feels that he was successful in his mission, becoming Spider-Man, Kraven wins in that and I think Kraven may have even had a disease. Kraven commits suicide. Okay, so Spider-Man does not have a showdown to defeat Kraven. And I think maybe in the last 15, 20 years they've retconned and put Kraven alive because that's comics. But I know in the comic world, Kraven himself was dead for at least 15, 20 real years after. They use his son, a little bit of that, but
no, that sounds like
it's a great series.
It sounds like a great story. And again, this is somebody who doesn't know a ton about that.
Yeah.
To quote unquote retcon it, I theoretically just instead of him committing suicide, right?
You shove a showdown.
Well, no, he turns good. He realizes that he could. You have something, and again, this is me not knowing.
Yeah.
Maybe they were worried about changing something that pivotal.
Yeah.
And how the comic fans would react. They're probably overthinking it, kind of thing. Because obviously they couldn't have had him committing suicide in a Spider-Man movie. But my guess is the higher ups might have been worried about changing something that fundamental. But that's just me looking for reasons.
I think they needed to realize that, Civil War, Captain America Civil War is pretty widely regarded, and they just completely changed all kind of.
That's a good.
Obviously, what they would have changed is, he wouldn't have committed suicide. There would have been a showdown. Yeah, and that's fine.
My guess is they have some sort of showdown, and to keep the spirit of how it ended is that Spider-Man loses that showdown. But Kraven realizes that when he was Peter Parker, he got more of what he wanted to have done at being a more righteous person than how he was. And ironically, that might get him to where he was in this movie.
Yeah. So
just not as stupid.
Yeah. All right. So let's go. Let's see how our rating goes. So here's our rating scale. We have diamonds and doves, and within the diamond, each category is from 1 to 5. Diamond 1. I mean, it's a good movie. It's alright. It's a good flick, but you're not gonna be racing back to it anytime soon. 5's fantastic. Then you got a dud. Dud is it's not a good movie, but a 1 dud is okay. You want it's just absolutely god awful. Higher you get on the scale, it's either a guilty pleasure, so bad it's good, or it's not a good movie, but you know what? It's just stupid. It can be just stupid fun, And so that's where do you land on this one?
Mine, you're gonna be shocked, is a dud.
Oh yeah, I'm stunned.
And I put mine as a dud too, because I found some of the action entertaining. I thought it was overly bloody for what was going to be a Spider-Man universe movie, because some of this was extremely bloody, and I thought was rather out of case. whatever that right thing would be. But I put it as a dud too, just because I found some of the stuff entertaining, and bluntly, I didn't know all that how much they changed. Until you mentioned it, I had no idea that he wasn't just sort of a hunter who hated hunters.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a dud and I'm a 1. Just fuck everybody involved with this movie. Fuck them. You're all pieces of shit. Russell Crowe, you're cool, but you should get back. I'm sorry, you got to get back your Oscar. Just for signing on to this movie. Anybody else just should get a slap in the fucking face. Dud of 1.
All right. So what are we looking at next time, Charles?
We're going to go back into the television world, and we're going to look at a recent reboot that in the television world of an reboot of an 80s show that we both really, really enjoyed.
We loved this show as a kid. I remember watching this with the mom and dad a ton as a kid.
And so what it is we're going to be checking out the first 3 episodes of the reboot of Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap. Watch along and like, comment, subscribe. Every little bit helps. And we will see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Adios.